I now call the Member of the Youth Parliament for Cornwall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 80 years on from the end of World War II, it's important to look back on what happened and how it affected the UK. My constituency of Cornwall helped massively during the war, providing bases for military camps, accepting evacuees, farming food, and even participating in secret missions to help the war effort. There were 6 RAF bases in Cornwall, which functioned as stop-off points for pilots from Canada and the USA, bases for anti-submarine and anti-shipping patrols, bases for preventing invasion as well as escorting bombers to France. There were over 1,400 land girls in the Women's Land Army working on farms in Cornwall between 1940 and 1947. They had many jobs, such as tending livestock, harvesting fruit and vegetables, and many more. Most of these without the proper training, because these agricultural jobs were mostly done by men before the war. Around 28,000 children, mothers and other evacuees were evacuated down to Cornwall from cities like London and Plymouth, which were heavily affected by the Blitz. From the Helford River in Falmouth, there were special operations executive missions into occupied France, providing supplies to the French resistance that were critical for the war. But it wasn't just the whole of the UK or Cornwall affected by the war. It's also important to remember the individuals whose lives were altered. My great-great-uncles lived in Plymouth before the war. They were evacuated down to Marazion in Cornwall because of the Blitz and danger in Plymouth. When they were quite young, around 8 or 9 at the time, both returned to visit the house they stayed at during the war several years later. However, they moved back to Plymouth following the war, but often visited family and friends that lived down here. My family left behind in Plymouth contributed too, working as wardens and within the women's wardens, helping save many people during the Blitz. My great-gran on the other side of my family lived in Cornwall her whole life, growing up on a farm. Her family allowed a chain home radar station to be built on the farm during World War II. This radar station helped to detect enemy aircraft during the World War II. This provided information to the RAF on the distance and direction of the aircraft. The Luftwaffe mistook the steel structures for radio masts, and so the station was not a target. This meant they were critical for the British defence. The chain home was the first early warning radar system in the world. It was able to detect enemy aircraft when they were forming as far away as France. Later in the war, after bombings ended, the system was also used to detect V-2 missile launches, saving many lives. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I now call Eleanor Farquhar, Member of the Youth Parliament for the British Armed Forces of the Bases Overseas. Eleanor.
Thank you, Mr.